On this edition of On the Mark with yours truly, Mark Carman, yes, David Ross has been hired, and the new skipper for the Chicago Cubs joins me on the program. Second part today, that's right, former NBA referee Tim Donaghy has a movie out. It's called Inside Game, and it details his stories in the NBA, how he got banned from the NBA, and Tim's going to tell us a story about Dennis Rodman and herpes that you won't want to miss. On the Mark with yours truly, Mark Carman, starts right now. Up first, the Cubs' new manager, David Ross. So I talked to you. You were promoting diapers on September the 18th, and I'm like, well, I got to ask David Ross, does he have interest? And then I was surprised and interested, like that it was clear that you did. So I'm just rewinding back. Did you know that this was coming down the pipe? Did you see a possibility? What would you say about looking back?
I just think, in the roles I've had, and especially with the TV stuff, being in these different locker rooms and a lot of conversations with really close friends, Aaron Boone, Kevin Cash, as I pass through Alex Cora, Dave Roberts, they're all ex-teammates of mine. And so I've just kind of inquired about it. My name's been thrown out there the last couple of years with some different jobs. And, you start asking yourself that question a little more. The more it gets in the media, the more people start talking about it, you start to kind of figure. And then, you ask me, it's like, this organization obviously means a lot to me. And so my heart is drawn to that dugout when I come here. I've wanted to be back in that dugout just in some capacity for a long, long time. But, I try to balance a lot of, family stuff and job stuff. And so, when this came available, I mean, who turns down this job? Like, what? Yeah, everybody be calling me an idiot.
See, people say, no, Ross I'm like, really? He wouldn't be interested in managing the Chicago Cubs? That doesn't make sense to me. And there you go.
Yeah, it doesn't make a lot of sense. It's just like Theo's like, can you come in? And yes, sir. Let me know when you need me. And I tell you what, that phone call from him and telling me I got the job was just, I was over the moon, emotional, super excited. Man, just there's not a more iconic. You get a chance to lead one of the most iconic organizations in all of pro sports in the world. You don't turn that down, and you take it very seriously, and it's a huge honor, and I know there's a lot of expectations, and I'm up for the challenge. I'm excited.
Was there any question in the interview process where like, I might have messed up that one?
Oh yeah, I mean, there's in the interview process. There's like some areas where you're like, oh, I killed that, I nailed it. Like, feel like it felt awesome, top of the world. And there's some you're just like, man, I hadn't thought about it like that, or hadn't seen the game that way. And so, just a lot of those things, the analytical side, just knowing, that's the stuff I'm going to dive into as soon as I'm done here, just getting to know as much as I can from the analytical side, stuff I thought I knew, but there's just some deeper things that I got to get a grasp on.
So you mentioned in the press conference about Grandpa Rossi and all that. You're a kind of a made man in town. You won a World Series here, and in some ways you're putting that on the line because I can look at like John Paxson for the Bulls, hit a game-winning shot in the '93 finals. Gets a lot of flack now, so it's a different guy. So, but I guess you're not about that, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I mean, I thought about that. I mean, like, I roll into this town and they treat me like king, and I understand that that's going to change, unless you put another trophy up or multiple trophies. So, I understand that, and that's part of it going in. But my passion isn't, fame or coming and getting free dinners in Chicago. It's about people, and it's about winning championships. And I've been a part of history twice, and it's a special, special thing that you can't ever replace. And having a chance to lead men to do something special that's historic is where my heart lies.
And it's not just the winning, though, too, right? You enjoy the actual process.
Yeah. It's a grind. I mean, it's the ups and downs. Like problem solving, how to figure it out, what's going wrong. Just constantly a passion for success, I think, is what drives you. It's funny as players, and especially in a manager, like the wins are expected and the losses are what kill you, right? And so I've seen that. I've seen it on my friends that are managers, and we've talked about it. So, but that's the way we're wired. It's the way I'm wired. You're trying to fix the losses and just kind of, okay, we won that one, on to the next one.
Have you thought about, after a game like 0 for 4, how I shook that off versus we lost and this decision, that decision, this guy's struggling. Like you could drive yourself nuts till 4 a.m.
Yeah, well, I think a lot of managers do lose sleep, right? But I'm gonna rely heavily on my coaches with a lot of that. I want my coaches to hold me accountable. I want to tell me the truth of where I make mistakes. I'm going to make some. I don't have all the answers. It's a collaborative thing for me. At the end of the day, I make the final decision, but I'm going to rely heavily on the front office and the coaches and even the players, the feedback from the players, the guys I have a relationship with. Just a lot of open, honest conversations.
Realistic expectations for 2020, how you're looking at it right now?
World Series, right? Like, I want to win the World Series. We got the talents there. Ain't no doubt about it. There's a lot of talent on that field. I'll never not put my eye on the biggest goal, and that's winning World Series. I learned that early on in my career. Why ever settle for anything less? It's not about making the playoffs. It's about hanging banners and winning trophies. That's the stuff I came back for, and that's what I'm passionate about.
Last one. Have you reached out to John and or Anthony, who, like, you got a smile on your face right now, like, I'm going to go out to the mountain, I'm going to take you out, dude, and you're probably not going to like it.
I told John, I say, I'm coming to get the ball from you. Don't you show me up in front of all these people, jokingly, right? Yeah, man, we've had some conversations. I told them I'd reach out a little more. They had a lot of questions. They've both been calling me Skipper over text messaging, which makes me laugh a little bit and smile all at the same time. I'm in a different role, but those relationships are going to go a long way. I'm going to lean on those guys that I know well, the Hobbies, the Lesters, the Riz, the KBs, these guys that I know really well, to give me just some honest feedback about how I'm doing sometimes, and then I'm going to give them some honest feedback about what I expect from them and their effort on a daily basis.
And for real, last one. This team, there's a lot of conversations around Chicago's, if they don't win another World Series, will it be a disappointment? And I remember walking around Wrigley when you guys just won the pennant. And I remember interviewing you on the field that night. People were crying. I'm like, is this the best night of your life? Yes. Have you had kids? Yes. So, in my mind, it's a success no matter what. But how do you look at that part of it?
Yeah, expectation. Winning brings even more expectations, right? So, but that's a good thing. Expectations, as Joe used to say, a guy I'll pull a lot of kind of my things from, and a huge influence on me. Winning expectations are a great thing, and I don't want to be in a place that I have high expectations. So yes, that's why we're here. We're here to win more championships. The Ricketts want more. The front office wants more. Theo and Jed, they're going to hold each other, all of us, to that standard. And I think if you ask these players, that's what they want. That's the game changer. That's the stuff that is historic, and that you go back to those amazing memories of the grind of a season and all the good and bad that's going to come throughout the season, but then you get to hold up that trophy at the end. That's what it's all about.
Congrats, man. Great to see you.
Thank you, Mark.
Before we get to Tim Donaghy, let's talk with the Cubs president, Theo Epstein. And yes, you just heard from David Ross. I think he's going to do great. He certainly has the media part down. He's awesome to talk to, and he seems like a great guy. And I think the Cubs, their players specifically, are going to love him, the fans as well. But let's hear from Theo. Why Theo Epstein was David Ross the choice?
In the end, I think we came back to that, David's special gifts as a leader, the things you just can't teach. He excels at so much, and already has a head start on learning the things that he needs to get up to speed on as a manager, that we feel like in short time he'll grow into being a special manager. He's just, those natural leadership skills, the communication skills, the ability to tell players things they don't necessarily want to hear, but still have the magnetism to keep them coming back for more. It's easy to get in a player's face. Anyone can do that. It's hard to get in their face and then have them come back half an hour later and want to talk about it more and still want to be around you. He's just got that special gift where he can be engaging and develop close bonds while also holding guys accountable. It's not easy.
Fair enough. Makes sense. So what was the problem with Joe Maddon, who won a World Series? I'm not going to go through his entire resume. I'm a huge Joe Maddon fan. But there was something when you watch the Cubs play that just felt off. And I would kind of call it a deadness. Satisfied, won the World Series, not nearly as motivated. So that did come out talking to Theo yesterday, as he detailed how the Cubs really were a team, at least before the game, and a lot of guys expressing this, I guess, on their exit interviews, which you're about to hear, that they really weren't together.
That was an observation that David had as well, and I was glad because we shared those thoughts, especially after it was so prominently expressed in the exit interview. The guys felt there wasn't enough team bonding off the field to begin with, but then while we're at work, our guys' routines have evolved to be so individual that there just wasn't much time when we were actually together as a team, either practicing on the field or together talking strategy, talking baseball. So I think that it's going to be a priority going forward, just to try to rebuild some togetherness and make sure those special bonds get created, that we work together and hopefully we play together as well.
Interesting, right? They're professional baseball players. This is not a high school team. You wouldn't think that team bonding, so to speak, is needed. But apparently it is. And that's one of the things, by the way, that Joe Maddon would do. He'd have the road trips, the put on the jersey, wear the animal outfits, bring in the flamingo, something to bring the guys together. But maybe after a period of time, that just gets a little old. And perhaps guys obviously got complacent. So David Ross is probably going to do this in a more old school way. I wouldn't expect flamingos or whatever. But as far as getting guys together, it's something he noticed. Theo agrees with it. The players are talking about it. So that'll be something different for the Cubs in 2020. I do think you need some players to add into that mix to sort of boil it all together, that it will really feel different. You're not going to change the personalities of who's in there. So they need kind of a David Ross type, at least in my mind, as a player to join into the mix to sort of bring that camaraderie together. Maybe somebody who wants to actually talk baseball after the game. Here is Theo on Ross's leadership skills and how he challenges guys.
He'd be the guy telling players what they needed to hear, not what they wanted to hear. And they would still keep coming back with bonds of friendship and bonds as teammates and brothers. So, I after talking to a few of our players, I think some of them are rooting for somebody else just so they make it a little bit easier road for them. But it's not high on the list of concerns. And honestly, at this point, you're talking eight or so guys, maybe a couple more, depending on how things shake out. And then baseball keeps moving forward. So there's going to be a point where he's got all. No former teammates that he's working with at some point.
You got to love that. And I trust it. I think it's clear that Theo loves this guy, and I think he knows what he's doing. And quite frankly, by the way, I was sold on David Ross a long time ago when everyone else was. The Cubs won the World Series, and that was the biggest game, obviously, in franchise history, and it was in Game 7 on the road, which I'm sure you remember. But they won the pennant at home in 6 games over the Dodgers. And I've never seen Wrigley Field like that, ever. I was walking through the crowd. People are crying. I'm interviewing fans. Is this the greatest day of your life? Yes. Do you have kids? Yes. Is this better than having kids? Yes. And the players are out on the field celebrating. And, of course, David Ross was one of those guys. So I thought it'd be nice just to look back and go back to that night. Cubs beat the Dodgers, and this was Ross on the field. With David Ross, watching you on stage and see the emotions well up, man, that's big time. It was just so cool.
The love, the cheer. I mean, when you got 45, 50,000 people cheering for you when they announce your name on stage, it's just it doesn't get any better than that. And I don't know. I love it. I don't know why they do it. They treat me so good. It's so nice to hear that. It warms my heart. It just fills me up with joy and makes me so emotional because, I'm a backup catcher and a guy that just tries to contribute to the team and works hard and do my part. And these guys treat me with a lot of respect and fans give me a lot of love, and it's overwhelming.
Well, the city is about hard work, and they love team guys, and they see that in you. I mean, you don't have to really figure it out more than that. That's the love right there, and you perform pretty well too.
Well, yeah, playing well always helps, but yeah, the success here with this group and being on this stage and all the love you get from these fans, it's just I'm so happy for them and being in this environment. Great energy tonight at the stadium. Coming in today, you could just feel the buzz in the city. Walking around, I was getting a coffee this morning, and you could just feel the buzz. Everybody excited, tapping me, telling me good luck, and you just feel the love all the way around the city, everywhere I go. And there's good people here. There's good quality values in here, and it's nice for me to be able to end my career